Hello, my name is Brian Largent. I'm with the ArcLight Group in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Today I'm going to be talking about telemedicine, something I know very little about. The only reason I know anything about it is because I'm an IT guy. We own an IT company. We do IT for lots of medical practices. But until recently, COVID-19, until that broke out, most of our doctors weren't doing any telemedicine at all. In fact, I don't know of any one of our clients that was doing telemedicine. But with COVID-19, doctors are trying to figure out ways to, number one, serve patients, and number two, to continue to be profitable with their practice during this time. So if you're a specialty doctor, let's say gastroenterology or audiology, you're not seeing a lot of patients. So if there's a way to continue to see patients, it's going to help your bottom line, and it helps those patients be able to get the care that they need. Okay? So I've had to kind of launch into this telemedicine thing. We recently received an email letting us know that HIPAA compliance regulations for telemedicine have been really laxed. I mean, they've been reduced quite a bit to allow people, think rural doctors, people without the infrastructure, technology, or IT professionals, to be able to do telemedicine in the most secure possible way, or to meet all the stringent guidelines. So those rules have been relaxed for the time being. We don't know how long that's going to be, but they have been relaxed. We need to figure out ways to get our doctors to keep being productive and taking care of their patients. So one of the ways we're doing that is we're helping doctors set up, or at least our clients, we're helping our clients set up video conferencing. And to do that, we're using Zoom. Now, there's dozens of solutions on the market. There's WebEx, GoToMeeting, I can't even name them all. There's tons of them out there. And those are kind of the big ones out. But Zoom, we've been using ourselves for quite a while now. It's a very good solution. And they have a free basic subscription that'll allow your doctors to be able to do what they need to do. So if you have Zoom, if you're not familiar with it, get it installed. You can put it on a Windows PC. You can install it on your mobile device, Android, iOS. It works on Mac devices, but get it installed. And in a Zoom meeting, you have two parties. You have the one who's the host, who's created the meeting, and you've got the person on the other side. In this case, it's going to probably be the patient or their caregiver. Okay, so the host has to have the application installed on their computer, and they schedule that meeting. And they're going to send a schedule item to the person on the other end. Either they can send it through email, they can call and tell them the information to be able to get into it and kind of educate and walk the person through it. Or they could just maybe send them a text or have them call in, however you need to accomplish that. And we're going to get into some of the steps that go into that and how to make that as smooth as possible for your patients. Okay. To do this, both sides need to have cameras because it's not really telemedicine unless you've got some way to see what you're doing. So I've got a camera here, bought this at Walmart. I bought 4 of them. They're like $28. It's a 720p 30 frames per second camera. It's a Logitech. The model is C270HD. I'm not going to recommend this. It's cheap, it's easy, it's typically accessible. You can find it anywhere. If it was me, I'd probably buy whatever camera I can get my hand on that's the most expensive. I mean, if you're doing telemedicine, you probably want to have a pretty clear picture, but this is probably fine. Okay, so I bought a bunch of these, and you can use these to put on regular computers like desktops that you have in the office to be able to get set up and do telemedicine. Now, when you do this, this camera is going to not just get you, it's going to get everything behind you. So be prepared to have your office cleaned up, maybe put something behind you. I'm in front of a magnetic marker board here, but get your background in a way that it's not going to be anything you don't want the person to see on the other end. You certainly don't want to have any notes or things written on the wall, patient records, anything that could be seen by the person you're talking to, or anything that might be embarrassing. There's lots of videos going around YouTube with conference calls where people, their husbands walk behind them while they're doing a conference call and they're in their underwear. They're not paying attention and the person doing the conference call is getting an eyeful of something they didn't intend to see. So be aware of your surroundings, set up in a quiet room, you put the dogs somewhere where they can't bark and make a lot of noise if you're doing it at home. If you're in a practice, do it somewhere away from loud noises and so on, okay? So you get your webcam, you can put it on your desktop computer. But there's other ways to do this. If you are a laptop user, which most of my doctors are laptop users. So I've got my laptop here. Oops, let's get back in focus. Okay, so I've got my laptop here. This is just a Lenovo laptop. It's got a little camera built into the very top of it. And I can just sit down and I can do a Zoom meeting on my laptop, install the software on my computer, create the meeting, and so on. Okay, so this is the best way to do it. But if you only have a desktop computer, going and buying a camera like that, has a built-in microphone, that'll work just fine. Okay. Another way is you could use a tablet. This is an Android tablet. I picked this up at Walmart the same time I got the cameras, and I spent, I think, $219 on it. It was the cheapest tablet they had. It's an Android A10 something. I think it's like a 10.3 inch for 219 bucks. Zoom software will work on here. Get yourself a nice hard stand for it where it'll sit upright and you can do your conference on here. You could even tilt it back so that they're not seeing behind you. They can maybe see above you and just see your face. So this works really well as well. Okay, so another way to do it. And one of the ways that our doctors that we've been talking to, they like the idea of a Chromebook. So this is a Chromebook. I picked this one up at Walmart. It was $169. Really cheap. Battery life's really good on them. Just really not bad at all. Zoom will run on these like a top. Works really well. We used it in a meeting today. It was we were demoing for a couple of our doctors in a practice, and they liked it really well. So these are great as well. One of the reasons you probably want to maybe want a separate device from your production computer. So let's say you're a doctor and you've got your laptop or your desktop computer. If you're on there and you're looking at the video of the patient, you're not going to be able to easily have your charts up while you're looking at the video. Now you can shrink it, but part of the video is being able to see what's going on the other side. So you may need to have it zoomed in or full screen. So we would say it might be better to have something like this separate, sitting next to you for your Zoom meeting, and then having your laptop or desktop computer, keyboard, mouse, and everything over here. So you can be taking chart notes or what have you. Now, if you've got a nurse and they're doing all that for you, then you would just be able to use this and that would be fine. But just take that into consideration as you start to build out your environment for your telemedicine, okay? So, to recap, this device is a Chromebook running Chromium, I think it's called, Chrome OS, I'm not even sure anymore. They're about $169 at Walmart. I got the biggest monitor they had. This is an Acer, it's called an Acer Chromebook 15. Had a nice size screen on it. So I got the biggest one because my doctors are like me, they're getting older, so bad eyesight. And so I just got the biggest one they had in the Acer at Walmart. You can get these anywhere, you can order them. And even with COVID-19 going on and all the shortages, I did not have a problem finding Chromebooks. I just don't think it's something that people tend to buy lots of, or at least not in shortage. Your laptop works fine. Again, this is that tablet. Oops, let's get back in focus. This is that Android tablet, and it's called a Tab A. Again, this was $219 at Walmart. You can buy these. Pretty easy to set up, easy to use, work really well. And you've got your camera that you can buy if you just want to put it on an existing computer. If you have a laptop and it doesn't have a camera, well, probably time to get a new laptop because I don't even know laptops that don't have cameras anymore. That's kind of rare. So you might want to get you a camera if you just have a regular laptop. Okay, so one other thing about this, if you get an Android tablet like this and you want to use it, you don't want to type on it. If you're going to try to use it for anything, you probably don't want to have to try to type on this thing, not for 8 hours a day. So you can get yourself a Bluetooth keyboard. I'm not sure if this is Bluetooth. This is just one I pulled off the shelf, but it's just a wireless keyboard and mouse. But get a Bluetooth one and you can pair it with this and you can use a full keyboard and mouse with this device. Okay, so the only other device that I haven't mentioned yet is your phone. So you can use your phone. This is my iPhone. So you can use your phone to do all this. It's a small screen. If you're doing telemedicine, I'd like to have my video on a bigger screen if it was me. You know, just picture the person on the other side. They could be using their phone. And we're just talking about the host right now. Now I'm going to switch and talk about the person on the other side. So the person on the other side, they can be using their phone for the Zoom meeting and using the camera and, you know, showing you the big sunspots they got on the side of their face or whatever. And they can be zooming in. You can ask them to move it in and out and stuff. That's fine. I think that's actually probably going to be the preferred method. Very easy to do that. But for you as the person looking at it, I personally would want a bigger screen. I'm not a doctor. You guys be the judge. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to talk about, we're going to move from the host side to the user side. So from the user side, there's some concerns with how the user is going to get set up, especially if you're dealing with an older group. You're an audiology group, let's say, or an ear, nose, and throat doctor. They tend to have very young children and very old patients. If you're dealing with very young children or very old patients, well, young children usually have adult parents that are young enough and they're more technically savvy and they shouldn't have as much difficulty, and they usually have to have electronic devices for whatever they do in their life. Older patients may have more difficulty with this. So with your older patients, you want to try to figure out ways to make this as easy for them as possible. So an older patient, you've got options to schedule the meeting. So you can schedule the Zoom conference is what it's called. You schedule the Zoom conference with the patient. You can send them an email where they can literally click a link and more or less go straight in. And when I say more or less, they have to have the app installed first, okay? So if they're on their phone and they have a smartphone and they need to get into the Zoom meeting, so you're gonna send them a link, but you need to make sure that they click the app and install it first, okay? So to do that, when you send them the email, you need to have special written instructions or maybe a link to instructions on how to set that up. Or you call them, you give them the information of how to do it, you explain how it's done. You have an employee who that's all they do all day long is they schedule appointments, they make sure people have got everything set up so that they can get into the meeting, you get them their app working and so on, and that's their job, is to make sure that your patients can be able to get into the meeting. It's a great way to do it. It's not complex. You can teach an employee how to sit on the phone and walk people through setting that up, and that would work well, okay? So if you have a patient that doesn't have a smartphone or a way to have telemedicine, another consideration, and again, I'm not a doctor, so you guys will have to decide whether this is viable or not, but another consideration is you could have your Android tablet set up with a Zoom meeting already set up in your waiting room or in your exam room or wherever, and you could have a doctor in another room doing telemedicine within your office with everything set up. Patient comes in, everything happens within the office, the patient interacts with the iPad for whatever the meeting needs to be, patient leaves, you sanitize the room, whatever, the exam room, whatever you need to do. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. I'm not a doctor, but it's just something to consider for your organization. If you're dealing with older patients, you still want to care for them, might be a way to work around it, okay? That's all I've got for this meeting. That's all I've got for this video. In the next video, I'm gonna go through the actual setup of Zoom and the different ways it looks on the different devices. So I'm hoping to have that video done tomorrow and we'll get it published. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm Brian Largent with the ArcLight Group. My number is 918-270-6600. And you can also reach me at blargent@algsys.com. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks.